Good every morning, all you YouTubers. It is August 9th, 2026. And I just want to reiterate on the lowest thing that the state or anybody could do, an attorney, anybody could do, is to, without any prior anything, this is how they want to question your mental stability and how they get around, or how they, Anyway, when you have your neighbors making false accusations and you're running around trying to defend yourself, you have the police making false reports, running around trying to defend those. When has the prosecutor, the attorneys, all making these accusations against you because they're the ones trying to cover their own ass. So they are seriously using the unstable word, mental instability or unstable or unsafe, might cause harm to himself or others, is a huge statement and is very slanderous and hurtful to someone that isn't. So I have to prove that I'm stable. Whatever. I don't have to prove anything. So I cuss in my videos because these are doing exactly what I'm saying, stalking and harassing, threatening, verbally, physically. So anyway, that's what they're going off of. They're going to try to make me unstable or whatever, which is ridiculous. Because if I was, I would have done something already, which I haven't. But they have strung barbed wire, brake checking me on the freeway, on the highway, freeway, pulling out in front of me, to where it almost causes a wreck, releasing their dog, accusations of me killing their dog with no proof, stringing barbed wire across a county road, ripping your water lines out, and then accusing you of ripping water lines out when it's documented by the Department of Ecology that no, the person behind me did, while helping put in Miss Brunswick tank and line that washed out in 2014 and 2003 and whatnot, that affected their property and their property only when the creek washed Schuler Road out. Now, I'm not diverting creeks into insufficient culvert pipes where you can stand alongside the highway and see the alluvial fan and the field that the debris made from the creek overflowing or flooding, and it is not where they have it now. Now, where it goes is underneath an agricultural causeway that the Corps of Engineers put in. And it is not an unnamed creek. I found documents that say Schuler Creek. Okay? And when the assessor recycles your homestead and heritage rights certificate and heritage rights that you gave him as evidence for the rezoning, the faulty rezoning they did to cater to the real estate broker / developer, Miss Brunswick, there's too many coincidentals, we'll call them, because I don't believe in coincidences. Not this many. There is just way too many. That, and police wrote in a report that all the neighbors and whatnot, all their wordage is basically the same. So, and then I've got Mr. Donald Lennox admitting he put his hands on me. But then the police don't do anything when I ask for any assault charge or anything. So I don't know how it would make you feel when the unlawful sheriff's department takes away your gun rights so you can't protect yourself against these crazy ass neighbors and the crazy ass sheriff's department and the crazy ass planning department and and these paid off judges that, this is no joke, they won't give me a video of the hearing. The hearing where Mr. Tom Wenzel, the code enforcement for Skagit County, puts a restraining order on me. Why would they, just like you call it, why would they do that? The ex-cop that shot the bank robber in the back and has potential and already has killed somebody. And you see a clerk walk in from, the outside, the clerk from the courthouse clerk, walk in, give the recorder a blue sticky note. The blue sticky note, then the recorder hands to the judge. And then all three of them look at me and I lose my case. Gee, I wonder. There's no corruption there. Lisa Janicki and Thomas Verg, the Honorable Thomas Verg, Lisa Janicki, the Area 3 Planning Commissioner, budget, who blew the budget, retired early because I called her out. It says right in her it was either her oath or her bond or her oath, that because of her husband's government contract, she cannot release that information. But if somebody calls her out that she's doing something faulty, she will gladly step down. And she did. But she did it in her way, not the truthful way, which is she's working with DOE to take people's rights away, water rights away from them. Claims, rights, whatever. Grandfathered, especially the grandfathered ones. Like mine. And, 8 years of everything falling on deaf ears, and the people that are supposed to protect you are the ones that are harming you, unlawfully arresting you, torturing you. I don't know what you got to say, but my bail bondsman was standing right outside. I could see him. And so was my best friend to pick me up, get me out of jail. And as soon as he showed up with my bail, they decided to send me to the hospital and I needed a whatever. I got pissed. I fought with them. Not really fought with them, but, tried to keep them off me because 4 guys came in because I wouldn't do what they say because I was already bailed, was posted, and they should have released me, but they wouldn't. And 4 guys come in, grab me, and 2 more guys come in and stab me in the legs with I don't know what. The next thing you know, I wake up tied to a gurney bed, naked as a jaybird with a catheter up my dick. Now, without a warrant, without any reasoning, nothing. No proof of prior mental issues, no nothing. Tell me that that's constitutional. Tell me they hadn't violated my rights. Yeah. Tell me. I'd like anybody to tell me that was a constitutional maneuver or a legal, any kind of legal maneuver. Bullshit. And the cops always putting on their police report, possible VUXA. I don't have any violation of a Controlled Substance Act. I have one possession of marijuana back when I was 25. One, a washer weed in my little pocket. That wasn't, I didn't even know it was there. Yeah, I admit to that. And they've got DUI on my record. No, it wasn't a DUI. It was a reckless driving I got. They tried to give me a DUI. And I learned the first time. I quit drinking. I don't drink. Well, I mean, I'll have a drink if I want one, but I don't get drunk. And, it's total ridiculous. And, go look at our records request, how many police reports were done by the neighbors behind me, or plot 44687, or, and see who's unstable. Because if I was unstable, something would have happened to somebody, or something, or damage to their property, or something. I have done nothing to anybody. Not damage to their property, not damage to them, period. I have only spoken the truth, which is freedom of speech, things that I have observed or researched, which are in black and white on paper, that the county don't want me to read out to you guys because it's all true, and they're faulty, and they're doing some scandalous shit to take people's property, grandfathered rights away from them, whatnot, water, because if anybody's been watching the news, water's all over the place. Lake Mead's at the lowest ever, yada yada yada. Some one of the water place was sabotaged and poisoned, and yeah. So think about it, y'all. You better think hard, because you better open your eyes, because government is doing some nasty shit because they know something that we don't. Or they wouldn't be doing what they're doing to innocent purchasers, demonize and criminalize them to take their shit, their water rights, their development rights. And they're taking, and they won't allow them to enjoy the rights that came with their property. That's a violation of the Constitution, right there. For instance, they came into my home, and it states right in black and white on their own report that I requested that they entered my home without a warrant. Inside my home without a warrant. But every time I say something to the attorneys, they don't do anything about it. Nobody does it. Nobody will, yeah. It's like, they can do whatever they want around here, the cops. They can lie, make false reports. Same with the commissioner, Lisa Janicki, Peter Browning, Joe Brown, or Joe Burns. Don't vote. They're all a bunch of narcissistic freaks. Code enforcement, ex-cop, Department of Ecology, John Rose, ex-cop. Every one of the code enforcement is an ex-cop. Who else to harass you or know how to harass you and get away with it besides a cop or the ex-cop? Yeah. You go figure. So, and then working with Parks and Recreations and the state park on illegal property swaps and misuse of right-of-ways and easements, as Tom Wenzel stated himself. I did not. That, that's federal. Bottom line, federal. And they're still trying to put me in these district superior courts when it's a federal violation of my rights, what they're doing. By a federal agency, several states. And it's all about the grant money and the creek restoration and the rails for trails and all this grant money, all this stuff. And yeah, trying to steal people's crap. And they're using the post office to say that, like for instance, Mr. Krastoff down at plot 44690, they put on his that there was no receptacle. Baloney. There's 2 mailboxes down there on his property, in the front, right down by the road. There's a receptacle. Or undeliverable, or something like that, to that effect. And they return it back to the commissioners, and then they say they did their legal part and sent it to the last known address, and they don't notify. That's how they don't notify the heirs or successors of property that should be reconveyed by the railroad back to the original owners or the heirs or successors. So there's property laying out there they're trying to steal and not notify the heirs or the successors, and then just taking it, or if they can't take it, they'll demonize and criminalize you to drive you out. And if they can't do that, the MO is to burn them out, like they did to the Hayneses. And go figure, the Ford's son is the fire chief commissioner. Yeah, and how 2 different places on the property were lit on fire, but yet the forest didn't catch on fire. How does 2 separate spots catch on fire at the same time, not by natural causes? And then they try to blame the homeowner. The homeowner, all his cries fall on deaf ears, and so in one of these, I don't know if it was an appeal or if it was just a deal, but it was something to do with a permit or something, where he's frustrated and he puts on there about how the now owner, the previous owner, lit it on fire, but no charges of arson or even looked into, or even, and so I want to see, besides innuendos, slander, lies, I want to see somebody actually tell the truth, or because I'm answering honestly what I know, what I've researched. That's all. I'm not saying it's true or untrue, but that's what I've researched, and that's all I know is what's written by the county or the state or by law. I am trying my hardest to stay within the legal boundaries, but when the people that make the legal boundary don't follow that boundary, how can you compete? How can it even be fair? It's not. And the lowest thing anybody could do is, after falling on deaf ears, your cries for help, falling on deaf ears, them slandering and defamating your character, demonizing, criminalizing you when you're innocent, doesn't drive you a little something. But I am not unstable, and I am not crazy, because everything I'm saying is 100% truth to my knowledge and research. And every one of those Skagit County elected officials that retired early or are not up for re-election are on my paperwork one way or another. And that's a fact. Straight up fact. So prove me otherwise. I'd love anybody. Text back, like, comment, subscribe, please, or needs to get the word out what Skagit County's doing. Stop what they're doing. Stop them from what they're doing. They're torturing people, throwing them in jail, innocent people. Mm-hmm. Using word. Oh, and they're weaponizing DSHS about the mental stability deal. All set up, everybody. Be careful. Be aware. DSH workers are right under their wing and are told to write whatever, because I can prove that also about when I showed up for this evaluation and they said I didn't, I was a no-show. When I did show, and I told her to make note of it, so they couldn't say that. But she did it anyway. So, yeah. Do not trust any public pretender whatsoever. I wouldn't trust anybody that works for Skagit County. Just my trust is gone with the police, all the police departments, every one of them in the state of Washington. As far as I'm concerned, now I don't. It's just, yeah. So, you know, go ahead and think about it, everybody. Prove me wrong. I'd like to see you do it without some slanderous accusations. I want to see some hard facts of what I've done to them. But help them. That's all I've done. All right. Peace, like, hate, subscribe. Don't do what I do. This ain't legal advice. All that disclaimer stuff on YouTube. And, everybody have a wonderful day.